Alright everybody, welcome to another episode of First Attack here on UltraChenTV. My name is James Chen, aka jchensor, and today we're going to continue forward with trying to teach all the basics of Street Fighter V. Now, it's really interesting. If you haven't had a chance yet, please tune into the last week's episode. You can find it archived on youtube.com/UltraChenTV. Last week I went over a whole bunch of beginner stuff over there. And today, however, interestingly enough, I was planning to go over some stuff like how to throw fireballs and do all these other crazy things like that, but the thing is, a lot of people actually mentioned to me that they really want to know is how to use training mode in Street Fighter V. I actually got this request from several people. So instead of doing some of those other lessons, I'm actually going to do a tutorial on training mode. And I'm going to be going over training mode from the very basics to really intermediate to really high level stuff that you can do with training mode. Training mode, I mean, it's one of the only one-player things you can do on the game right now, but training mode is a very useful tool. And a lot of people really had trouble utilizing training mode. They don't know what it's for. Like, they don't know how to use training mode. And it's really interesting because, even back in Street Fighter 4, training mode wasn't that robust. There was a few nice features here and there, but Street Fighter V's training mode really is taking it to another level. I mean, it's really good. There's a lot of other games with great training modes as well. Probably the paragon of training modes right now is Skullgirls. But Street Fighter V has done a very good job putting in a lot of features that will help you really understand and learn how to play your character and how to do matchups and do a lot of research. The hardest part is that a lot of people look at training mode and they just think, oh, this is just where I test combos. This is just where I test my execution. But there's so much more to training mode than that. And so I'm here to basically teach you how to use training mode. And again, this is going to start at the most basic levels humanly possible, but we'll get into some advanced stuff as we go because, as I said, a lot of robust features here in training mode. So, to start off, we are just going to do the basics. The very basics. So let me switch over here. So let's get started with the very basics in training mode. When you come into training mode, the first thing you're going to notice is, okay, it's me versus the opponent here. I can test my combos and, I can do stuff and what the hell else am I supposed to do with this, right? Well, the thing about it is you really have to understand all of the options that are presented to you in training mode. So while this looks really important here, like I'm going to practice my combo. Woo, here we go, combo, and that didn't even combo. But this'll combo, yeah, okay, so you're practicing your combos and such. However, interestingly enough, the most important part of training mode is going to be this, the menu. There are 3 pages in the menu, if you notice, that you can switch between using L1 and R1. There's the basic settings, there are the dummy settings, and then there are the gauge settings. It's an interesting way that they divided it up. I actually kind of like the way they organized it. But this is going to be the most important place. You are going to be going here and doing a lot of configuration so that you can test a bunch of different things. And I'm actually going to go through all of these options right now to show you what kind of things that are capable of here. So the first thing here that I'm going to point out right now on the basic settings screen is restart battle. This is going to be very important. I actually recommend that as you go through and configure any of these settings or whatever like that, like as soon as you finish messing with the settings, all you have to do is hit the circle button to go back out, and you're here again. I actually don't recommend this. I actually recommend that whenever you leave this screen, you make sure you go back to basic settings, you make sure you go back to restart battle. This is more crucial on joystick than it is on the pad. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But the reason why it's nice to always be able to come back over here is because a lot of the times you want to test stuff and you're in the wrong part of the screen and you want to go back to the middle of the screen. All you have to do is hit start and then X and you're already automatically in the back. So every time you hit start, it's always going to remember the last place your cursor was. So if I'm over here and I hit start, it's going to come back to where my cursor last was. Restarting is actually very important, so I would highly recommend going to restart battle and then hitting circle to exit out, because then anytime you're like, okay, let me try this combo, okay, let me try it again, very quick to restart the combo and just do this over and over again. And that's, like I said, if you do not have access to a touchpad or the L3 button. Again, this is a joystick specific thing. If you are using pad, then you probably don't need to go back to restart battle every single time. As I mentioned, we'll get into that. So obviously, character stage select, it's exactly what it sounds like. You want to change characters, you want to change the dummy, you want to go to a different background because you're sick of this stage music or whatever like that. This is where you go to take care of that. Now, start position is going to be very, very important, because this can start you at the left corner, the center of the playing field, or the right corner. Now, this is really useful because you're going to start finding out that you have combos that only work in the corner, right? So, for example, that's a combo that only works in the corner for Ken, because if I'm not in the corner, the Hurricane's too far away to combo. So the worst thing about it is when you're trying to test combos or you're trying to test setups like corner cross-up stuff like this, and you're like, I want to try that again. And you got to jump over him, you got to dash him back into the corner, and you got to do all this stuff again, etc., right? Or you can set this to right corner, and now when I exit out, I will always start in the right corner. So every time I go to restart battle, right corner. So I'm going to do this combo, pause, restart battle, right corner. This is very nice, very, very useful. And in fact, although it's good to know a bunch of mid-screen options, the corner, you hear it all the time when people commentate, you hear it when people talk about it. Once you get someone in the corner, this is kind of your zone where you can destroy the opponent. So this is actually where you're going to be spending a lot of practice time. You're going to be practicing over there. And so this is a good thing to have. To be able to just go to the corner every single time. I could show you a bunch of stuff with Armika. Armika really benefits off of going to the corner all the time, because she has a lot of stuff that'll flip her in and out and such, but I'm using Ken because he's a really good way to display a lot of the different options that you have in training mode. You can also start in the left corner, and as you notice, it starts with me in the corner now, and with the opponent out. This is cool as well, because sometimes you want to test corner carry combos. For example, from here, I want to see if I can have a combo get me from one side of the corner to the other side of the corner, right? So I'm going to do something like, right, and boom. Now I've gotten the opponent most into the corner. Okay, cool. Let me try a different combo and see if I can actually get myself farther than that. Okay, so I do this combo and look, I pushed them all the way into the corner, etc. Or, you know, sometimes you want to just test situations here where you're standing here and then you want to find good ways to switch sides, right? So, for example, you want to go over here and cross up and then figure out how to switch sides. Like I said, with certain characters it's more important than others because, like for example, Armika has some interesting side switch combos. But that's kind of a nice thing that they have. They let you start in the corner. Now, if you notice something, whenever you change either one of these settings here, these first two settings, when you back out, it does a reset for you. So no matter what you do, if I set this, it'll put you there. You don't actually have to click restart battle. But whatever you set this to, every time you restart battle, it'll respect these two settings right here. The cool thing is that the second setting, which I haven't really talked about here, is right side and left side, right? So I can pick right side. Now when I do the right corner, look, I'm starting in the corner. So if I switch over to the left corner, I'm over here on this side. So it's basically mirror imaging things. Now, you're going to ask yourself, why would I want to mirror image these things, right? Well, one thing is that you're always going to be playing online. And when you play online, you don't know if you're going to be first player or second player necessarily. You could be on either side. One of the biggest faults of people using training mode is that they tend to always stay on one side. I'm going to practice back strong fierce uppercut. So you're going to practice this all day to your heart's content, and then you go into a real match, and you start and you're on this side, and you're like, I don't feel comfortable doing my combo on this side. I'm not used to this all of a sudden. One of the golden rules of training mode, and it's really nice that they put this here. I almost wish they had a random. Feature for this. But the nice thing about this is you can purposely put it to your bad side. So no matter what, you're practicing combos either way. So you practiced all your corner mix-ups. Now I want to practice my corner mix-ups on this side of the screen. I want to practice my mix-ups on this corner instead. So I can get used to the muscle memory of being able to do combos both ways. So like I said, I had this nice, combo over here. Now I can make sure I can do it facing both ways and still get the corner carry, etc., etc. It's a good thing. It's a good, nice thing to have to be able to go back and forth between those. So again, these two settings here, no matter what, when you click restart battle, it will always respect that position. Now, very useful. You'll be fiddling with these a lot. Trust me, I do this constantly. I'm like, okay, left corner, right corner time. Okay, now do this, now do that. Now, a lot of the times when you're sitting here, you want to know, what's my most damaging combo, right? I want to know what does the most damage. Now, attack data is where you're going to find out. If you turn attack data on, you can see in the top two corners the data over there. And so this is where you can start finding out damage. You can also find out, for example, if this is a low attack, so it says attack level low. You can see stuff like damage scaling, so you can see how the damage scaling affects your combos. You can see if it's a two-hit combo, what the stun you're building is, what the damage you're doing is. So let's say I want to see if, this combo here does 251 damage. That's good damage, but what about this? Whoops. What about this combo here? So this does 251 damage as well, so it's the exact same damage. But see, that's good to know, because now you can decide whether you want positioning or you want distance or wall carrying. And, let's skip the jump attack, for example. So I'm just going to do target combo straight into Hurricane, and that's 216. And then I'm going to do this into Uppercut, still going to be 216. You can just find out what the damage is, how much the stun is, etc., etc. So this is very nice to have. And in fact, by default, you should have it on. When you come into training mode, unfortunately, Street Fighter V does not save your settings. Hopefully this will be fixed in a patch. But by default, you should have attack data on at all times. There's almost no reason not to have it on, unless you're doing it for a combo video, or you're just trying to record something cool and you don't want those numbers on the screen to make it look tacky or whatever like that. But outside of that, my recommendation, have it on all the time. Same thing with key display. Key display is really nicely tucked away into the very sides of the screen, as you can see. They're just sitting, you could barely, like right above where my finger is pointing, you can see the arrows over there. And they go from top to bottom, and they show you all the inputs that you're putting into the game. This is also very important when you're first learning Street Fighter, for example, and you want to learn how to throw a fireball. The code for a fireball is down, toward, plus punch. And let's say I didn't have this on, and I'm sitting here going, I need to learn how to throw a fireball, but for some reason it's not consistent. It comes out sometimes and it doesn't, and it comes out not something, it's not consistent. Well, if you turn on key display here, when you try to do a fireball, for example, and it doesn't come out, like so, you can go and take a look at your key display. If you look at the key display, like for example right now, you see it's down, and then to the right, and then right plus a button. That means I missed the down forward part of the code. So that's why it's not coming out, right? So now I can more consciously teach myself to make sure I roll the controller a little bit better so I get a fireball more consistently. This will teach you these kind of things. Let's try another one. Let's say I'm trying to do Ken's super code here. And let's do this, for example. Let's say you try to do the super code and it doesn't come out, right? You're like, but it feels like you're doing it right. And if you look at the input display now, and you follow it down far enough, look for the first down that you pressed. You get down, down towards, down, and then I'm hitting kick before I finish the motion. So now you know you're not actually waiting long enough to finish the code before you hit the button. So you'll know now, thanks to input display, what you're supposed to do. So there you go. Again, input display, attack data should be on all the time. Those are two things that I recommend having on all the time. They don't get in the way, they don't cause any problems, so it's just better to have them on. You get so much more information about this. Now, obviously, command list is where you're going to go check to see how you do your moves. So here's your special moves, unique attacks, V-system, critical arts, normal throw. Not going to get into that. Control settings, where you configure your controllers. So for example, if I go to controller settings here, I can configure my controller on my pad because I use a very, very weird button configuration when I play on pad. So let's go ahead and skip the shortcut settings for now.